everyone. Welcome to the next session of Virtual KLC. This is with me, Sage, and Miranda, and we're going to be talking about effective meetings and time management. First, we want to introduce ourselves. I am Sage, previously Ballman, but now McKay. I just got married in April. This is my 6th year on staff. And my favorite ice cream is mint chocolate chip.
That's awesome. Okay, so yeah, my name is Miranda, Miranda Bargill from Valley Heights High School, Blue Rapids, Kansas. I was president for 2 years there, and this is my 9th year on staff, I'm pretty sure. And I know this format is a little different from our usual KLC, but we're making the best of it, and we still want you to have effective meetings and use your time wisely, no matter where you're at. So I say we're just going to get started and talk about all the ways that you can optimize your time.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah, so before we get going, we just want to make sure you're prepared. So we recommend that you have maybe a piece of paper and a pencil to take notes on, and this is about time management. So if you want to have your planner or agenda close by or a calendar, we will be talking about things that involve using those items. Okay, I'm going to keep us going here, and the first thing we're going to talk about are 3 steps to efficient time management. So as you can see there, they are organizing, prioritizing, and scheduling. So first, number 1 is organizing. And very simple concept, right? You want to stay organized so you know where your things are at. In my house, everything has a place that it goes. That's how I stay organized. My keys go in the key jar. My cell phone, I try to plug it into the charger, stay organized that way, because if I don't, I might lose it. It's happened before. So and within your KAY club, staying organized is very important. Documenting things like that. So a really easy way to stay organized is just think about the thing. For maybe an example, you want to organize your bedroom. So you have a bunch of things in your room. What does the thing do? Well, oh, I have a pillow that probably goes on my bed. I have clothes sitting in the basket. Those probably go in my dresser. Staying organized means you have to continue to keep things in their place, and it's something that, if kept up with, makes life a lot easier in the long term, because it just becomes a habit. So that's all I really have to say about organizing. The next thing is prioritizing. Maybe you've heard people talk about their priorities. Their top priority is the thing that is most important to them, and then maybe the list goes on. It's the things that you value, what you prioritize. So for example, maybe one of your highest values or things that you prioritize is your family. So you would put time and energy into spending with your family, either spending time with them, doing acts of kindness for them, asking your sibling or parent how their day is going, taking an interest in them. That shows that you value it and it's a high priority. Another example, say a high priority to you is your K Club, and making your club be the best that it can be. So for example, maybe a high priority would then be achieving the gold award. So you would use your time and energy into looking into what it takes to do the gold award and working towards achieving that. Sometimes with priorities, this happens to me a lot. Maybe they're conflicting with each other. It's like, well, I really want to do this. It's a priority for me, but also I have to take care of this. And that's when it gets a little difficult. But if you know what you care about and you know the value, it's easier to make these decisions. So just think about that and prioritize accordingly. It's not supposed to be a hard thing or a difficult thing, but just something that makes you know yourself a little better and achieve your goals a little easier because you know what you're aiming for. So I'm going to move on to scheduling. Because once you know your priorities, I kind of mentioned this before, once you know your priorities, you know how to schedule your time better. Say, well, this is a high priority, for example, like I use achieving the gold award. So you'll schedule your time in order to make achieving the gold award possible. You have to look at what it takes and then, oh, well, I need to do X, Y, Z, plan those things out into your schedule. And like I said, with conflicts, like say you have sports practice at this time, but you really want to do this. So you have to look at your schedule and know what you're capable of, because it's really easy to kind of say, well, I love all of these things and try to prioritize everything, but sometimes that can get you in a little bit of trouble because you need to put a certain amount of time and energy into each thing so that it gets what it deserves and you are proud of what you put in, rather than just spreading yourself too thin and not really reaping any benefits because you didn't put enough time and energy into that thing. Say, do you have anything maybe to add that I didn't explain there before we move on?
I think you hit it all on the nail. That was pretty good.
Okay, great. So yeah, 3 steps to efficient time management: organize, prioritize, and then schedule your time accordingly. We'll move on to the next slide. Okay, now we're talking about, we're adding in 2 more steps here to effective time management. So you'll see steps 3, 4, and 5 there are the organize, prioritize, and schedule that we just talked about. So I'm backing up to number 1, and which is plan or brainstorm. So a little bit ago I talked about caring about a lot of things. That's where you're kind of at in your brainstorming. It's like, well, how am I going to schedule my time? What am I going to do? What are my goals? You have to kind of think about these things so that you can use your time accordingly. If you know that you want to grow up and be a doctor, there's things that you can do now to prioritize your time, make it easier to achieve that goal later. If you know that you want to be financially independent, for example, you can prioritize your time. You want to probably say, well, I want to go to work and get paid, just for example, and you would put that in there. You know these things. That's the brainstorming part of it. A goal without or plan without a direction. There's some quote there that's not coming to my mind at this exact moment, but you have to kind of know what you want so that you know how to spend your time. That's the plan. Step 2 is to assess. So you want to look at future problems or roadblocks and just know that things are going to come up. So if you assess and look forward, people make calendars so that you can look into the future. You can look and see, oh, well, I want to go to this school, and you're a senior. Well, you need to look and assess and say, well, I have to have my application in by this date, or I need to have it submitted by this time. And there's just certain things that you have to know about. And what I've found out in growing up is nobody's going to really tell you those things unless you start looking for it and asking. The information's out there, but sometimes you got to look around and ask a few questions in order to figure it out. And then that really informs you on your decision making. If you know that you need to take the ACT or the SAT, or you know that you play sports, it's like, what weekends are you available? What times can you study that doesn't conflict with practice or school? Certain things like that you just have to kind of take into account so that you're setting yourself up for success. It's not that things are set up to make it harder, there's like, oh, there will be roadblocks. It's like, now things just come up that if you look out for and you just become aware of, it doesn't really get in your way as much because you're prepared for it. And then so knowing those things, you've assessed what's going on with your life, what you want, how you want your K club to perform, those kind of things. You can then, it's really easy to go on to organize, prioritize, and schedule because you've thought about it. It's the thinking and those really steps 1 and 2 that get you where you want to go, because you have to know where you want to go before you can really help yourself get in a place to schedule yourself accordingly. So that's my thoughts on that, and I think we're ready to move on to the next slide unless Sage has anything to add. Okay.
I'm good.
Okay, great.
So next we're going to talk about the 3 P's to conducting effective meetings. So a lot of you have probably heard of this before. The 3 P's are proper, prior, planning. So I'm going to try to do my best to go through and explain all those. So proper, another word I think of is just like appropriate. And so you want to plan and have prior planning, but in the proper way. And so if there's something that's like a high priority or a lot of importance, you kind of want to make sure that you're dedicating more of that time to planning prior to the meetings, so you know that you're going to talk about it enough time in that meeting, or to make sure that you have all, like, if there's any definitions, or if there's questions that could come up, you have those answers. So proper, I'm going to try to think of an example. So say that you have a board meeting and there's 3 things on the list. Maybe it's the end of your meeting, you don't have a lot going on, but you have door prizes on your list, your agenda, and a pizza party, and a recognition ceremony to tell everyone, how great they did, and if you guys have any like awards, you give those out. So for instance, proper prior planning for that meeting, if you're having pizza, you're going to need to know ahead of time who's going to cater it, who's going to bring it in, how are you going to pay for it, how is it going to get delivered. So in that meeting, you probably want to put more of your time planning for that meeting towards, let's say, the pizza part, because it's appropriate that I'm putting more time to that pizza, because it may be a little more complicated to get that all organized and figure out. Whereas maybe the door prizes, you've been doing door prizes all year long and you have a stack of candy bars in your sponsor's closet, and every door prize, that's your door prize, you just draw from a hat or something. And so you wouldn't necessarily, it would be inappropriate to spend a whole bunch of time of these door prizes if you've already had experience and you already know what you're going to do. It'd be more proper to spend extra time planning for that meeting towards something like ordering pizza, making sure it's going to be delivered on time and paid for. So number 2 is prior. I've kind of mentioned that and explaining already. So prior is going to be beforehand. So you want to make sure that you have all the details figured out, and that you're not waiting till the last minute. You're not procrastinating. You want to make sure that you're planning and scheduling ahead of time, and so you're not waiting till the last minute. What if the pizza guy, you can't just call 15 minutes before the meeting because it might take 45 minutes for the pizza to get there. So you want to make sure the proper planning is prior to the meeting, enough time to get things done. And then the last P to conducting effective meeting is just planning. So you want to sit down with your board members or your sponsor or whoever you're having and scheduling a meeting with, and you want to plan things out. Miranda and I, we've already talked multiple times on the phone together and planning this session for you guys. So that's another great example of just planning ahead of time, so you're not scrambling at the last minute, or so you're not leaving out things that need to be said, and you're just making sure that everything goes well. So it's proper prior planning. Try to say that 5 times fast. Go. Okay, good job. Next slide. So next, we're going to talk about this meeting content review. And so these are just things that Miranda and I both think are very important in a meeting. So we're going to kind of go through and tell you what has worked good for us and other meetings we've been a part of. So the first thing on that list is a meeting agenda. So it's really good for people who are not only at the meeting, but if you can't come to the meeting, then it's good to hand out that agenda afterwards or ahead of time so that your other members of your club still know what's going on, even if they're unable to attend. Like if they're sick or if they have a bunch of homework, they can kind of still be in the loop. So that meeting agenda, it's great to have the topics that you're going to discuss. If your secretary needs to have a part in it, her name is where she's talking. If say you're having your athletic director come in and talk about a dig pink rules or something like that for your school, then you have it's good to have the person who's talking about it listed. So if you are going through the agenda and after the meeting and you have a question, you have that topic there, but you're like, oh, who is that person that was discussing the dig pink volleyball rules? Oh, the athletic director. And you can go and their name will be right there. So it's good to have those printed to hand out to everyone. If you are able to, hand those out at the meeting, and then also maybe a stack like in your sponsor's classroom so anyone can swing by and grab those if need be. And then again, just to make sure, back to that proper prior planning, have that printed off ahead of time, at least hopefully the day before, get it printed. So if there's anything that you've missed that's super important, you still have time to go back and change it and make new prints. Another thing that's really good for meetings is meeting participation. And so that is just kind of reading your cloud and getting everyone involved. If you're looking at your club members and maybe it's finals week and everyone's having a bunch of tests and not many people looking like they're focused and they're just kind of tired, maybe it's a good idea to put some of the topics on hold and just get everyone on their feet and do an energizer. Maybe that energizer wasn't planned, or maybe you only planned one, but you actually ended up needing two. It's always good to get people going and off their feet so they're willing to participate more, raise their hand if they have any questions, or just making sure you're getting that participation out of your club members. So you want to get people participating because that KLC saying goes, people help support what they help create. So just getting that team participation will make everything that much better. And then also for your meetings, you want to try to add a little bit of personal touch. So don't make every single meeting every month the same boring, mundane thing. Make it personal, make it fun. You can have a different thought of the day, and that could be given by a different board member every time. Or like I already mentioned, energizers, switch up your energizers. Don't do the same energizer every month. Try to find new fun ways. Take notes at these virtual meetings, take notes at camps in the previous summers to always keep a fresh idea of different energizers. And then also I mentioned door prizes. So, if you have 20 stacks of candy bars, you should probably get through those candy bars, but maybe have smaller stacks of candy bars so then you can go through and have different door prizes. And then also don't forget to congratulate people. So make it personal to your members. If you saw one of your members, pick something up in the hallway, pick some trash up in the hallway and throw it away. Maybe have like a review box or suggestion box where people from your club can go through, and if they see someone else do something good and that's good for the school and just being a good person, maybe you can have like a suggestion box where that person will document it, and then you'll go through those suggestions, but just those good, happy thoughts, and then be able to recognize the people who are doing good things. Next slide.
Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is an efficient morning schedule, something we all do. We wake up every morning and we start our day. And I want to talk to you guys about how you start your day. Making the most of your morning is something that has, well, for me, it's changed the rest of my day. I've implemented a morning schedule that I stick to. I know it. There's no questions. There's no running around. I know what's going to happen when I wake up and how to start my day so that I can have a great day, because that's something that's important to me. I mean, who wants to have a bad day? So if I can take control of some things in order to set myself up for success by a day-to-day basis, that's something that I think is important to share with you guys. So think about what you want to do in the morning. You want to wake up. Maybe some of you guys like to get your exercise on in the morning. I like to start my morning with a walk around my little neighborhood with my dogs, because they have to go outside anyways, so I just make it a stroll, make the most out of my time there. Next thing about what else do you need to get done. High school, I was in charge of making my own breakfast. Pop-Tarts take less time to make than like pancakes and sausage. So if you know that you want a hearty breakfast, allot time for that. If you know that you're going to pick something up at the school, you don't really have to worry about it in your morning routine. You know that that's going to happen later on. But know yourself, know what you want. Maybe you have little siblings that take up some time in your morning. Just knowing what's going to go on makes the rest of your day just a little bit easier. So at this point in time, I want you to look back over your notes, if you took any, and think about those: plan, assess, organize, prioritize, and then schedule. Because what we're going to do is pause the video for a second here, and you're going to schedule an efficient morning for yourself. It's going to be unique. If you're in a group, everybody's is probably going to look different, but it's really simple. You just have to take those steps, brainstorm, what are all the things that I want to do in the morning? What could I get done in the morning? Could I get my reading done in the morning? Do I have time to do homework? Did I do that the night before? Consider those things. Are you a school that has KAY club meetings in the morning sometimes? Whatever that looks like for you, take the time and write those things down. And then I want you to move on to the next step, and then assess it, look at it, say, well, that won't work. I can't do that then. Figure that out, organize it, prioritize it, and schedule. So just think about what time does school start, for example, and then work your way backwards to the time that you need to wake up. Minute by minute, you could know what you're going to be doing at that time. That's kind of how I am, but I know not everybody's like that. But it really does help figure things out, because you're going to be waking up, doing those things, taking care of yourself, brushing your teeth. Like, those are things that you're going to have to do. And if you know when, where, like, just makes things easier. So take this time now. I think we're going to have you pause the video so you can take as long as you want. Just make sure you come back and finish this up with us. But go ahead and get your morning schedule started now. So now you've done that, you paused it, and we're back. Congratulations. So did you look and see on your morning schedule how long each task takes you? Did you allot enough time for that? If you think that you can drive to school or get to school however, whatever your situation is, by bus or by car, did you look at that and were you reasonable with it? Are you going to have to speed through town? Because we don't want to do that. Make sure you go back, double check that you're allotting enough time for yourself so that you don't have to be in a rush. Give yourself some padding if you need to. If you're an early riser, maybe you can just rethink some things. So give yourself some leniency to be adaptable. Try some things out. so that you have the most efficient morning schedule that you can. It's going to be ever changing as your priorities change. As it says, which tasks take priorities over others. It might change season to season. It just depends. And then lastly, on this question, I want you to go back and, did you allot time to make your bed? Do you make your bed every morning? I do. I'm not saying you have to, but I'm saying it sure makes me feel good. It's like, yeah, I can't wait to jump back in that later after I have my great day. But I'm just saying, I would try it. Give it a try. Okay, congratulations on creating your morning schedule. And like I said, change it, adjust it, but just keep in mind that allow yourself enough time, check your priorities, and try to make it so you're going to have the best day possible. I think we're ready to move on.
I will add real quick, though, that there are studies out there
go for it.
where if you make your bed every morning, the likelihood of you having a good day are automatically higher, because when you wake up making your bed, that is such an easy task, and to already know that you've accomplished something at the beginning of your day, like studies have shown, go read about it. It will automatically make you have a more productive day, a more positive day, all around better day. So make your bed, kids.
Yeah, we recommend. Awesome.
Okay, so now we're going to go through and talk about just some extra additional tips and tricks that Miranda and I have learned throughout the years. I'm going to talk about my favorite, and then Miranda's going to touch up on some of hers. So most of you guys probably have like school agendas. Highly recommend. I got school agendas every year of high school. I even got school agendas in college. But come college time, I was such an organizing and prioritizing freak that a plain Jane school agenda wasn't enough for me. So I upped it, and I actually got into getting appointment books. And so appointment books, very similar to that morning exercise, when you're planning out every minute of your morning, appointment books are a lot better way to plan out like every 15 minutes of your day. So from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., it has increments of like an hour slot and like a thick bold box, and then even split it up more into like 15-minute increments. And so if I knew that I had class from 9 o'clock to 9:50, I would scratch that little block off because I knew I'd be in class. And then if I had a workout or practice from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m., I would scratch that little block off and say I had practice, because I knew I'd be in practice at that time. So that would leave me so many times throughout the day where I could schedule like when I was going to study what. If I had a big test, I knew I wanted to allow 2-3 hours at night to study for that test. So appointment books, if you guys really love organizing, then I would highly suggest getting one of those. You can just look into Amazon, and they have a ton of different appointment books or just agendas. And then I did this session a few years ago, I think with Jolene, and she has great like technology. So there's also a ton of apps on your phone that you can use. I personally am more of a pen to paper type of person. Like I like to have it written down. But if you're more of the, have everything your whole life on your phone, that's a great option too. Just have everything mapped out in time of what you need to get done that day. And then also back to that prioritizing, if you know that you need to do something that's super important and you have to do it every week. So say your K Club meetings, for instance, you need to have one of those at least once a month. Go ahead at the very beginning of the year and schedule out and block off that time once a month, so not to overschedule it. So all right, first Monday of every month from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. we have our K meeting. So nothing will ever, it will be there. And so you won't ever have to overbook or get busy and forget, or it'll always just be there. And then also with those appointment books, if you love color and super organization, then you can color coordinate things. So if you know you have your classes, maybe so I would, with my appointment book, I would color with colored pencil. I had each different class a different color. And then within that class, I'd write down if I had any homework for the night. So I would have each class a different color, and then I'd have my practices a different color. If I had any clubs at school that I needed to meet for, I had those all a different color. So it's really good to also color coordinate things, because then once sometimes when you see a whole bunch of stuff, it can kind of be overwhelming if it's just a whole bunch of writing. But if you look and you see color, not only what those colors represent, and maybe it's really not that bad. Like, okay, you have 4 hours in the evening marked off, but 3 of those hours are maybe family time, or one of those hours you're gonna go to the park with your friend, or it's just really good to have color coordinating things, so you won't be so overwhelmed when you go to look at your agenda. And maybe fun things are pink or yellow. So if your day is filled with yellow, it's not a bad day that you're super busy. It could actually be a super relaxing and fun day. Another thing, I'm not sure if it's on there, but I do want to point it out. I read about this somewhere. I can't remember who told me or what book it was from, but it's the 2-minute rule. And so I heard this, like I said, I don't remember who it was from, but the 2-minute rule is the rule where if there is something in your day that will take 2 minutes or less, then just go do it. So if you have to, I'm thinking right now because I'm in my apartment, say that the ice maker, we don't have an ice maker, so we have little ice trays. That would take less than 2 minutes for me to refill. And then maybe I need to sort the laundry. Sorting the laundry could easily take less than 2 minutes. Another example is I need to take the trash out. Trash, that could be an easy task in less than 2 minutes. If you are at home or at school and you think of a task that you know will take less than 2 minutes, it's best that as soon as you think of that task, you just go and do it. Because if you don't do it at that moment, you think of it and you just say, oh, I'll get to it later. I'll do that later tonight. Pretty soon you're going to have a pile of 10 2-minute tasks that you're going to have piled up to do for the night. And 20 minutes of task is a lot more intimidating than just a 2-minute task. So it's really nice and it's really smart where if you think of something that you need to do and you've been holding it off, the next time you think of it, if it's less than 2 minutes, just go do it. Just get it over it, rip the Band-Aid off, just go for it. And it'll make your whole day a lot less stressful, and it'll leave more time at night to do things that you enjoy, like maybe watching TV or reading a book or just having more time on your homework. So if you have a task that's less than 2 minutes, just go do it. Just get it over with.
Love it. Okay, I'm going to touch base on the ones that Sage didn't mention. I'll start with Eat the Frog. I heard about this first at KLC camp, but it comes from a quote that Mark Twain once said, so I'm going to read that. It goes, "If it's your job to eat a frog, it's best to do it first thing in the morning. And if it's your job to eat 2 frogs, it's best to eat the biggest one first." So that's the quote. So eating the frog means to just do it. No matter what the task, eating a frog, I mean, gross, no thank you, but if that's your job, it's been assigned to you, as Mark Twain believes, just do it first thing. Make no complaints about it and just get it over with so that it's over with. And man, that frog was nasty, but at least I did it and took care of it, And like, if you have to eat 2, the biggest one, just if you're not looking forward to doing it, don't let it continue to damper, how you're feeling. Don't trudge through the day feeling like, oh, I dread doing that later, blah, blah, blah. Try to just get it over with. Put your best foot forward and take care of business, is what Mark Twain's kind of saying. Next, I mentioned before about prioritizing. Priorities. If in your K-Cub, for example, you are having it's the beginning of the year and you have your membership drive, that's a high priority thing at the beginning of the year, right? So you would probably want to talk about that first and get that taken care of so that the membership drive can, get kicked off, get started, members can start coming in. You wouldn't want to kind of like, membership drive starting, we should get on it. No, that's not how you do it. You would attack the task at hand. That's high priority, so you get it done. If it's October, November, you're not really thinking about the membership drive. That's not a priority anymore. You took care of that business. Yeah, and that goes for just like daily agenda items too. Whatever your priority is, take care of business. Keeping weekly and monthly meetings on a pattern schedule, that just makes life a lot easier if you can figure out, like with your K-Club, when can board meetings be, so that it's on that calendar every single time. Try to make it always that second Tuesday of the month. That's going to happen. And then when your meetings are going to happen with your members. That just makes life a lot easier to tell people about. It's not like, oh, it got changed. It causes a lot of confusion that way. So just try to make it simpler, easier on yourself. Next thing, a good tip is you have your board for a reason. So use them. Like if you have a meeting coming up, you might be the president and it might be your job to run the meeting, make sure everything goes, but you have those people supporting you. So like if you want somebody to talk about something at the meeting, it's probably like, don't just throw them on the agenda, right? You would check with them, see what they were going to say, keep them in the loop. People support what they help create, like Sage said. So the more people you can kind of get on board with the agenda and say, okay, this is going to happen. They know that they're going to have a part in that agenda. They should be there for sure. And they should be excited about it because you check with them, you brought your enthusiasm to them, and you just want them involved, and everybody wants to feel involved. Yeah, I think that's everything on that slide. So we're ready to move on.
All right, hang in there, guys. We're almost done. So we have another exercise for you guys. You can do this now. You can pause the video and go do it, or you can print it off and do it later this summer, or you can take it to maybe your first K club meeting. But what we have for you guys, and this should be in the handouts tab that Cheryl shared with you, but what we have is a crossword puzzle. All the answers can be found in the KY handbook, but this is a crossword puzzle of just good words to know when leading a meeting. Just good, smart words. I honestly didn't know some of these definitions, and I've always thought, wow, Sage, like I go to meetings and they're important and people are saying stuff and I don't always know what they mean. So this is a really good crossword just to test the definitions and your vocabulary. So go ahead, take the time now to pause it and work on this. I have listed here also just meaning skills and terms that are used in this crossword, and then also just more information about making the most of meetings. Those sections are in the handbook. They're listed there, so you can always reference those. And so, yeah, just take some time and have fun with the crossword. Okay, so you finished the crossword. So we're going to go to the next slide. And this is just another reminder for you guys. I believe this is our last slide. Just a reminder to go and watch the video that other staff members put on about how to conduct an efficient club meeting. Usually, if you guys have been to camp before, we usually have this in Spencer Auditorium and you see firsthand how to conduct a meeting. But this year, with everything being virtual, we also had this meeting virtually. So I don't know what's to come in the fall, and a lot of you probably don't either. So if by chance school isn't going back in session and we're doing more of this distant learning, just remember that you can still have meetings virtually. You can contact your sponsor or other teachers at school, have them help you get a Zoom or a Skype meeting going like we're doing right now. And so just go and watch that video for more tips and tricks that even if you're not in school, you guys can still be doing stuff for your club, for your community. And so just go watch that meeting. Just observe how they're managing their time and how they can run even a virtual meeting super effectively.
Yeah, it's a good example. I do want to say there's a lot of proper prior planning went into that. So you'll watch it and you'll see a bunch of people that kind of know what they're supposed to be doing. That's because Abraham, who was kind of chaired up on that committee, he took kind of the role of the president and made those contacts beforehand, like we talked about. He talked to his members and said, "Are you going to be ready to talk about this? Can you talk about this on this part?" Um, you know, it's hard to get a lot of people on for a call, so having that agenda ahead of time was crucial, and talking to his members beforehand was crucial. So just keep that in mind too when you watch it, because that could be very well what's happening. And it's not, sometimes a problem is disguised as an opportunity. So just remember, you can make the best of your time, review these tips on here, and just keep getting after it, because we live with technology every day anyways, and now we're just transitioning into a little more, it just is a little bit different kind of work, but you can still be effective with your time and manage it wisely, virtual or in person. It's very possible.
And I'm pretty sure that's it for us. Just take this stuff back to your club. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Lydia,
Yes.
for being our technical genius behind these PowerPoints. We were all super sad that we couldn't see you in person this year, guys, but we do miss you, and we hope to see you next summer. And we hope to see all of your fun and creative ways that you work with your clubs this year. So thank you, and have a great
Yeah.
rest of summer.
Yeah. Thanks, you guys.